there is no place I would rather be than here in Seabright, sitting on the deck over the seawall, looking out across the Atlantic Ocean. We took this earlier this summer. And we've
Mm.
been fortunate to have a place that affords us this opportunity. And in the last week, we've seen whales on 3 different occasions, 3 humpback whales from that deck. So when we talk about writing a book about the Jersey Shore, the first question you ask is, well, exactly what is the Jersey Shore? What is the geography of it? For my purposes, I thought that the real Jersey Shore is the 139 miles of the Jersey Shore coast that go from Sandy Hook in the very north with a view of New York City to Cape May in the south, where you can take the Cape May Lewis ferry over to Delaware. So when I was thinking of writing this book, I made a list of places I wanted to be in the book for sure. So, I sat down, I remember being on a plane and I said, okay, here's the places we've got to have in this book. And I could right off the top of my head, because I both lived in South Jersey or had a place in South Jersey on the beach in Brigantine and here in Seabright for a number of years as well. And, you just tick them off. But you don't get to 100 quite that easily. There were also places I had heard about or had been briefly, but I knew I had to rediscover. And then I also knew that there were new places to discover on the 139 miles of the Jersey Shore. So places well, you know that you have to include saltwater taffy, James's saltwater taffy or Freilingers in Atlantic City on the boardwalk, because this is where saltwater taffy started, still made today. So that had to be in the book, no doubt about it. And you have to include the oldest roadside attraction in the United States, Lucy, the elephant in Margate, still sitting there today.
That is my hometown.
It is, Margate City, very nice. And then also the Victorian ladies, the painted ladies, the Victorian houses of Cape May. I mean, those are 3 places I knew that I would have to include there. And then closer to home, you'd want to include Monmouth Park, because it's the only thoroughbred race course in New Jersey and the only race course on the Jersey Shore. And it also has, prominence in the racing calendar for the Haskell event, which is typically held in July. And I would, of course, want to include a little bit about Pier Village and Long Branch, and maybe even Pucker's Lemonade on the boardwalk in Asbury Park. But what I didn't know about some of those same places that I just mentioned that I knew that I had to include when I actually dug a little deeper was that when you go to the saltwater taffy store, James's or Freilingers, and you say to the woman at the counter, or the man, can I sample one of those? She points to the wall on the opposite side and says, just go over there, sample as many as you want. And I'm like, well, isn't there a limit? Oh, no, just sample as many as you want. So you can sit there all day actually and pretty much eat your fill of saltwater taffy and all the amazing flavors that are there. And then I also didn't know that when you climbed inside the belly of the beast, that is Lucy the elephant in Margate, and you look out over through her eye, you have this incredible view, 6 stories tall, of the ocean and Margate and Ventnor and Atlantic City. And so that just driving by Lucy is not enough. And that the Victorian ladies, or the painted ladies in Cape May, the Victorian homes, while we take them for granted today that they're a tourist attraction, a major tourist attraction, and of course we would want to celebrate them and preserve them, this house, the Emblem Physic House, was about to be destroyed in the early 1970s. Wildwood had become a dominant vacation spot in South Jersey. Cape May had fallen away. And many of the developers had said, look, we don't need these old homes. Why would they be here? We can make better use of this land by building 3-story motels and putting 80 or 90 units there. And so a group of people got together in the 70s and they fought to save this home. And then that actually led to the rebirth of an appreciation for the Victoriana architecture in Cape May. And this house today is run by Cape May MAC, Museum Arts and Culture. And they are the same entity that does tours of Cape May on the trolleys. They do tours of this house. They actually today also run the Cape May Lighthouse. They run the World War II Lookout Tower and have an amazing collection, amazing programs throughout the whole year that allow you to really enjoy and discover Cape May and why it has been long been one of the premier vacation destinations, not only the East Coast, but in the United States. I also, closer to home, learned that you can do amazing things not only on a racetrack, but in the parking lot of a racetrack, where Monmouth Park held several concerts this summer, and that's going to continue to happen. I just read today that other people are going to bring some crazy outdoor events, and these were major comics and headliners like Southside Johnny and the Asbury Park Dukes were the first band to perform here this summer at Monmouth Park, and they did a record business and sold out right away. So what were some of the places that I thought, well, I should probably put them in the book, but I don't really know enough about them and I need to rediscover them? Well, what is the Jersey Shore, or what would it have been if it wasn't for the lighthouses that go from Sandy Hook here to Cape May, and include the Hereford Inlet Lighthouse in North Wildwood, which is still manned by the U.S. Coast Guard. And actually coming up in October, I just talked to someone today because I climbed to the top this morning of the Cape May Lighthouse, and they said that there's a lighthouse tour that happens in October, and it's not 100% sure they're going to do it, but they think that most of the nonprofits or privately run lighthouses like Sandy Hook and Hereford will be open to the public on the Lighthouse Challenge. So look for that to happen. And you know, the lighthouses remind you that why New Jersey is so important in the East Coast and so important to the industry is that they overlook, of course, the Atlantic Ocean and the rivers and the byways. And that we celebrate, I think we take it a little bit for granted, but we can celebrate the waterways of the Jersey Shore. This is earlier this year, the charter boats that are out of Atlantic Highlands got together to appeal to Governor Murphy to allow them to take fishing charters out to the Atlantic Ocean, which did happen in late May. And this gives people an opportunity to go out and not only see whales, but to catch fish, as I did last summer with my wife and my in-laws when we caught these purple-colored sea bass. And in Cape May and Wildwood, which we were there this last couple of days, you know, that fishing port is huge. It's the second largest commercial seafood port on the Atlantic coast. Another place to rediscover was one that I wasn't anxious to go back to, and that was, frankly, was Wildwood, because when I was there many years ago, it was a crazy Saturday night and there were a lot of teenagers, and I thought, oh boy, do I really want to go to Wildwood again? But I decided, well, of course I have to explore all 6 of the major boardwalks on the Jersey Shore. And I went out about a year ago today, and I forgot that something kind of fun happens at 11 o'clock every day from April to October. Over the loudspeaker, as you walk on the boardwalk, you hear an announcement that says, "Attention, attention, everyone, please stop." And please stop, put your hand over your heart for the playing of the national anthem. And every day at 11 o'clock, they play the national anthem, and suddenly all these crazy people were doing all these amazing things on the boardwalk. Everybody stops, and you can see just what they do. They put their hand over their heart, they listen to the national anthem being played, followed by Kate Smith singing "God Bless America" And then the final song of the triptych is Bobby Rydell singing Wildwood Days. So, and it's also a reminder that, I mean, sort of an Americana, but also that singers like Bobby Rydell and Chubby Checker, particularly in the late 50s and the 60s, were very influential in the national scene and would go down to Wildwood in the summer. In fact, it's where Chubby Checker debuted The Twist at the clubs in Wildwood.
Wow. Did you know that, Bill?
No, I didn't hear that.
No. Wow.
didn't
Pretty
hear
good, RC.
I didn't hear it.
So another place to rediscover was we spent about 6 or 7 summers in Brigantine, and there they have the Marine Mammal Stranding Center. It's a small place, and it used to be that you could go into the Stranding Center and see the wildlife that they were rehabilitating before they were releasing them and sending them back into the ocean. But they've actually closed that part off just for the safety of the animals. And they have a small museum next door and a little gift shop. And you can watch via videotape camera the sea life that they have in their tanks at the moment. And so, you know, your initial reaction is this really worth seeing? But what they do, this small place, and what they do for the Jersey Shore is amazing. When there is an animal or a marine mammal in distress on the Jersey Shore, there is not a federal, state, or local entity that takes any responsibility. What they do, if you call the Seabright Police or the Long Branch Police, they turn around and they call the Marine Mammal Stranding Center. And they come up to find small gray seals or harp seals or turtles, dolphins, even humpback whales, and they decide what can be done with them and help to rescue them. So we had an opportunity because we volunteered. We took a class last December and are now official volunteers at the Marine Mammal Stranding Center. And we've been called out often. We were called out, I think, 5 or 6 times in March, April, and May to go to the beach and warn people off of gray seals that had just taken a breath on their way north. And then this little guy is one that was in distress. They took it back to their center. They rehabilitated it. And in April of this year, we had the pleasure of joining the Marine Mammal Stranding Center in Sandy Hook, where they released him back into the Atlantic Ocean. And this giant 300-pound harp seal, they also released into the ocean. I swear this guy, I was taking pictures, this is a photo I took, was aiming for me. I was practically running on the beach to keep away from him and take pictures at the same time. But eventually he realized there's fish in the water. He went back in. One of the advantages of actually being out there this spring during the COVID-19 pandemic was a renewed appreciation for the wildlife, the many, many sea life and marine mammals and birds that are all around the Jersey Shore. So this, I've really spent a lot of time looking at them and being in the kayak. This is a swan that was taking a break on this little tiny beach that's actually right behind my house in Seabright. These are some of the same gray seals that I mentioned. They're actually in Sandy Hook. They come in the spring and at low tide hang out on these rocks across from the Fort Tilden, where and they're only there at low tide. If high tide you go and the rocks are gone, they're not there. And then by May, they all disappear because they're all heading back up north. There's deers from Sandy Hook that wander into our yard. We also had an opportunity all summer long to watch geese like these and with their babies and watch them grow up. And these little ducklings were also hanging around, and they're now much bigger. They're almost as big as their parents. And my wife and I have been out kayaking on the Navesink River, right there, not quite up to the Red Bank Library, but on the way there to around the Oceanic Bridge in particular. And we see, these are pictures I just took like 2 weeks ago of a gray heron and then a great egret here on the right near the Oceanic Bridge. This summer, we've also been watching these little guys who started out as eggs and then were hatched, and the osprey are just have really developed and flourished with all the water clearing and the fish that have returned to the Atlantic Ocean to the rivers. So we've watched these guys in the nest near us. And then on the right is another osprey, a young osprey. We happen to know this is juvenile, and with his fish that he's kind of already half eaten. It was hanging in the trees along Hartshorn Woods County Park. And then on the left is a juvenile bald eagle. We've watched this eagle flourish this summer. Again, near Hartshorn Woods Park. They're flying all the time. And then pretty much regularly, we go see its parents. These are bald eagles. There's a pair of bald eagles that have nested here. Should be seen throughout the year. Was one parent on the right. And then just a couple weeks ago, I snapped this bald eagle on the left. It turns out that the bald eagles don't get along with a lot of the other birds because they have a tendency to steal their own fish. So this is an osprey who was basically telling that eagle, get away from our territory. This is osprey land. And the eagle is squawking at him in return. We've actually watched the osprey dive bomb in the sky these bald eagles, and the bald eagles are flying, and they literally turn upside down to put their talons up against the osprey. And we've watched the osprey also do the same thing to these big, giant gray herons that are out in the Navesink River. I also had an opportunity to photograph and spend a couple of hours watching this humpback whale that followed some fish into the Navesink River. This is south of the Highlands Bridge between Seabright and Hartshorn Woods. And it hung around really just pretty much about half the day, just looking for fish. On the left are the Marine Police and a boat actually that had some people from the Stranding Center. And all they were doing was warding off boaters trying to protect that whale. So the picture of this whale is wound up several times in the Asbury Park press. It's now their sort of standard humpback whale picture, which is I took, and you can usually see. Fortunately, they usually give me credit. If I find this, and they happen, I remind them that that's my whale that I took.
Yes.
And then this is a terrapin that laid some eggs earlier this summer in our yard, and then was just sort of looked like it was going to walk along our dock, and then suddenly decided, no, I'm not really interested in your dock. I'm just really interested into returning into the water. In terms of new places to discover, not far from Red Bank and Oceanport is the Great Hall at Shadow Lawn at Monmouth University. One of the things I wanted to explore and understand a little bit more is what happened to the great mansions and homes that were built in Long Branch when Long Branch was the nation's summer capital in the late 1800s. Well, it turns out really none of the big ones are left, but on this site where the Great Hall stands, there had been a mansion that actually Woodrow Wilson stayed at. And then in the late 20s, the president then of F.W. Woolworth decided that the mansion that was there wasn't big enough. So he built a 128-room mansion that today serves as an administration building for Monmouth University, but is open to the public in normal times. And you can go and explore the hall and the many rooms that are in there, and going down to the basement where they have like a bowling alley and all kinds of crazy things. And you wouldn't hardly even know it's there. You can drive by Monmouth University and not really see it because it sort of sits off to the side. And then across the street from this is actually the Monmouth University Library, which was a vacation, quote, cottage of the Guggenheim family in the 1920s.
Mm.
Other places to discover. Rarely late into writing the book, somebody said to me, well, do you know about the place where the Hindenburg crashed? And I said, well, I've heard of that. It's in New Jersey and all. Well, he said, you can go visit it. And you can visit Historic Hangar number 1, which you can see here, which is a hangar that was built to put 2 Zeppelins in it. It's sort of a double wide Zeppelin hangar. And the Navy Lakehurst Historical Society, in conjunction with the federal government, provides tours of the Hindenburg crash site and a museum that they have built inside this hangar, so that you can learn more about the history of Zeppelins and blimps that are still flying today. One of my favorite things I discovered about the Zeppelin was it was kind of like a train car. Or, I mean, it was like a train travel. So it was a big balloon, in essence, of helium, and underneath it, it carried a series of bedrooms, and there was a dining room, and you could travel across the ocean, and that's in fact what the Hindenburg did when it was on its way back from Germany. But one of my favorite parts of that of the space that you went as a passenger was that they had a smoking room. Imagine that, a smoking room in a Zeppelin. Not a great idea.
No.
Another place that I discovered, sort of keeping with the wildlife theme, was Hollywood Farm. And there's Elvira and Bill, who are actually joining us on the call.
Bill.
They went with us when we went to see the wolf dogs. The wolf dogs that were in at Hollingwood's Farm, which is a place that rescues these. They are not 100% wolves. Some of them can be up to 90%, but they're wolves, and they're a mixed breed between wolves and dogs. And a lot of people think they're going to be cute puppies. They get one, and then pretty soon the wolves are trying to eat the doors and furniture, and they find that they can't take care of them anymore. And they reach out to Hollingwood's, which takes them. And actually, I'm going to be doing a book signing with them in about 10 days at Hollingwood's Farm.
All right. Very
And if you come and buy the book, you'll get free admission that day to Hollingwood's Farm.
Mm.
Where is that, RC?
Sorry?
Where is that?
Hollingwood's Farm is in Jackson. It's near Six Flags.
Thank you.
Okay. And then actually nearby both Hollingwood's Farm and Six Flags is the Second Wind Llama Adventures, where you can take a peaceful 2-mile walk with Bev is the owner of the Second Wind's farm, and she has these llamas that she raises, and she sort of checks you out to make sure you're compatible with the llamas, and then off you go into the nearby state park, and you spend some really quality time with the llama in the woods. And both the wolves and the llamas are the best time to go there is in the late fall, winter, and early spring, because the colder it is, the more lively the wolves and the llamas are. And then also nearby these 2 places, Six Flags has they had originally they had a wildlife safari that you drive through, and they stopped that and you did it through the park, and now they reinvigorated that this summer so that you can go to at Six Flags. You can drive now through the wildlife safari. You can see giraffes and elephants and tigers. They have it's a good hour-and-a-half trip that you can do in your car. It's a great way to social distance and see the animals. And then the 4th place, also a little bit off the beaten track, is Popcorn Park Zoo, which is run by the Associated Humane Societies. It started many years ago because somebody brought that. Originally, they were just a shelter for dogs and cats. Somebody brought in a raccoon that had its leg trapped in a trap. They took the raccoon in. They were unable, they had to amputate the leg because it was damaged. And they knew that really it probably couldn't survive in the wild. So they decided to keep it at the Humane Society. And that eventually turned into the Popcorn Park Zoo. And all of the animals there are either animals that couldn't be released into the wild or older animals from zoos, other zoos that have gone out of business, or circuses, or even people's homes where they can no longer care for them. So this is Kaya, the blind tiger, which the tiger is very happy. She's very happy now at the zoo. This is actually inside her cage. But one interesting story is there was a homeowner in Highlands, New Jersey, right across the river here, who illegally had 4 giant tortoises. And after Sandy hit, it destroyed part of his hillside, and he was no longer able to care for the tortoises. So he ended up donating them after the city said, I'm sorry, you can't keep them here anyway, to the Popcorn Park Zoo. So, these are different days. Just 3 months ago, it seemed like everything was closed. But in short order, before Memorial Day, all 50 beaches were open to visitors and locals, admittedly with some new and interesting signage. The Jersey Shore is hanging in there. We're moving forward. Obviously we have outdoor dining, and starting this Friday, we'll have indoor dining, 25% capacity. Retail is open. You can see Kevin Smith's Crazy Store just down the street from the library in Red Bank. I didn't know what this was, but it's a crazy comic book and film store. It's a lot of fun to go in and browse. And they're not like, you want to buy something? They're like, oh, have you ever seen this movie? You ever seen Clerks? You ever seen Mallrats? Hey, enjoy it. So it's a lot of fun. And I think it helps if you've at least seen one of his movies. And all 6 boardwalks are open with rides, arcades, miniature golf. I actually, on Monday, I was in Wildwood, and I completed my tour of all 6 boardwalks this summer. Things were really pretty booming. The rides are all operating and safely. I jumped on the wheel in Atlantic City about a month ago, the new big giant Ferris wheel that towers over the Seal Pier and has an amazing view of Atlantic City. So no one's really sure what will happen to this day. Madame Marie on the boardwalk in Asbury Park, even she doesn't have all of the answers. Anything could happen. You never know, for example, if you're going to get an unexpected visitor who will blow in, like we had recently with ECAS. This is out my window at the nav sink. After it looked like the storm had passed, and then suddenly the winds kicked up. It was a pretty harrowing couple of hours. But I'm hopeful that the sun will shine again and will continue to shine on the Jersey Shore, so that you can go to the beach like you can here in Seabright on any given day. And a lot of the beaches actually are going to stay open. There will be more lifeguards this September. The cities are trying to figure out how to actually hire more lifeguards into the shoulder season that they originally didn't typically expect people to come to the beach. But with so many schools closed, they're going to see lots of kids coming to the beach after school every day. So this late summer and fall, you can still head out to the beach, like this very, very, very wide boardwalk or beach in Wildwood. You can drink at Salvation Bar on top of the Asbury Park Hotel. You can canoe in the Pinelands, which I'm going to be doing tomorrow at Double Trouble State Park. You can grab some frozen custard at Coors Ice Cream. Or you can take a fishing trip right off of right off here at Atlantic Highlands. The charter boats will continue operating probably well into November. The bluefish are just biting. I saw them the other day. I was out on my surfboard, and the dolphins were just having a great time and a great meal actually on the bluefish. You can find doo-wop in Wildwood. As I mentioned, Wildwood was a big hit in the 50s and 60s. People were building these crazy motels, and those motels have continued to prosper. So much of this original signage and style that was then, or probably frowned upon in the later part of the last century, is now being celebrated, sort of mid-century architecture, or as they often call it, space age architecture, or in Wildwood they call it doo-wop after the doo-wop sounds of the 50s and 60s. But you can take tours in Wildwood of these motels. They have a self-guided tour. There's a doo-wop diner on the boardwalk, and there's actually a doo-wop drive-in now where they screen little movies outside in their parking lot on the weekends in Wildwood. And it's been a great year to see whales. And the Jersey Shore Whale Watch in Belmar began last year. We took it earlier this summer, and we're fortunate to see this whale out in the ocean. And Sea Streak Ferry out of Highlands on Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays through the end of September at 12:30 has a whale watch tour, and we've seen that boat right outside of off of our beach, and actually helps us because then we can look around and figure if that boat is sitting out there on the beach, there must be a whale nearby. And sure enough, we have seen humpback whales 4 times in the last week right off of our beach. Or you can shop Fifth Avenue in Englishtown, the flea market, which is quite an event. So whether you use my book, which you can buy at 100thingsjerseyshore.com, or you buy it at Amazon, or you can buy it at barnesandnoble.com, or you can buy it at the Asbury Book Cooperative on Cookman Avenue in Asbury Park. Whether you buy my book or you're just wanting to explore the Jersey Shore, now's the time to do it. It's been strangely enough, been a banner summer just in terms of the number of people that are here. And I'm hopeful that a lot of these organizations will return to some of the holiday events. They've been a little shy about releasing them yet, but I'm starting to do a story for the Mainline Today magazine about holiday events at the Jersey Shore, and I'll be sure to have that on my website at 100thingsjerseyshore.com. So the Jersey Shore is still there to discover and rediscover like it was your first trip, or like it is today. That's me out there in the Indy Rooney swim, the open ocean mile swim. My wife took this picture a couple of summers ago, and I was happy that was the first 1 mile ocean swim that was offered this summer. So thank you, Red Bank Public Library, for having me. And
Very nice.
Thank you.
Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you even see me? I don't even know. Show self here. It's so dark in here. Sorry. I'll turn this way where you can see me better out the window. Or you can't see it at all. Okay.
Dark here too.
Anything, Raina, or?
Is this Cape May Zoo in there as well?
The Cape May Zoo is in there. And you know why? The Cape May Zoo is great because it's free all year round.
And it's a really nice, I don't particularly care for zoos, but it's a really, I think, a nice zoo.
It's a nice zoo, and there's a big public park there that you can also walk around as well. So it's part of it. And it's right off the Garden State Parkway. And one of the things about my book is that I always, in every entry, in every address, I tell people which exit of the parkway.
That's good.
Oh, good.
So.
Cape May Diamonds too.
Sorry?
The Cape May Diamonds too.
Yes.
Another.
Yeah, Cape May's great.
Well, RC, from my perspective, I want to visit the Second Wind Farm.
Oh, it's great. You know what? She is so packed. I just signed up to go see it, and she's
Yeah?
like, oh, "My first available is mid-November." I was like, "What?
Wow.
Oh my, I better check it out.
Mid-November? Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "Yeah." So it's a great place. It's a lot of fun. Now she continues operating through the end of May, all winter long. And it's a great place. And actually, the winter time is the best time to go.
All right, I better call.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for
Great. You
for
brought back
having me.
memories.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Good
Thank
night. See you, everybody.
Good
Have
night.
a good
Bye.
Thank you.
tomorrow. Enjoy canoeing.
What do you-